Defense type Beyblades don't need any introduction, I guess. To put it simply, they take hits, shrug them off, survive and win the battle. But the newest generation of Beyblade is very different from all the others before it. The attacks making use of the Extreme Dash gimmick are much more powerful compared to any from the older generations. So, can the current generation's defense base take on and survive those overpowered Extreme Dash attacks? And is there a way a blader can influence the performance of these defense combos with the way they are launched? That's exactly what we are going to look at in this video. So far we have only gotten 2 defense type Beyblades in the X lineup, and they both, at least according to Takara Tomy, have different approaches to defending against attacks. Those 2 bays are of course Maltese Knights, Knight Shield and Knight Lance. Takara Tomy claims that Knight Shield blade can absorb attacks, which if true would be groundbreaking technology, I guess, considering that this shield is surely not made out of some exotic kinetic energy absorbing metal that fell from space. Takara Tomy actually claims that the 3 air pockets on the blade can act like some shock absorbers and kind of dampen any direct attacks. But in real life, I haven't seen any significantly improved impact resistance with this blade compared to the rest. It gets thrown around a lot from those powerful hits, just like those other bays released with it. Then there is the taller Knight Lance, which is all about counter attacks. Knight Shield in its stock form uses needle bit and Knight Lance uses the high needle, which is 1 mm taller than the needle bit. But that's not all the difference between these two. High needle also has a larger cone angle at its tip, means it's not that sharp. This may cause these 2 bits to behave differently even when they are launched the same way in certain cases. So firstly, let's discuss how these will behave if we simply launch them flat and hard into a center circle. Both needle and high needle will have some circular movements in the center circle, and then that dies down and they both just become stationary at the center after a while. In the case of Knight Shield, it starts to wobble a bit after that because of the uneven weight on its blade, and then later it becomes more stable. So both the bays become kinda stationary in the center after a few moments when launched like this. You would expect the defensive combos to be capable of staying in the center and taking all the hits. But the extreme dashes, if executed properly by the opponent, may be a bit too much for even these defense types to survive. The chances of you getting knocked into the extreme or the over zones are very high. But it would be much safer to try it against a stamina combo. This launch doesn't cause much stamina loss, and in the case of Knight Lance, it can still do counters against stamina types as they are not as aggressive as attack types to knock it out in one hit. But for any combo with Knight Shield blade, I wouldn't recommend this launch in most cases, as, at least in my experience, it doesn't take big hits from attack types very well as it's advertised. And also that uneven weight on the blade causes it to lose stamina from all the wobble. So what exactly can we do about that? How can we take advantage of Knight Shield's unbalanced design? That's where the tilted launch comes into play. What you can do is launch the bay with a forward tilt of the launcher. When done this way, both the needle and the high needle bits cause the bay to spin tilted in the stadium because of the slope of their pointed cone shapes. When launched with a slight tilt, they move around with this tilt for a while and eventually stabilize and settle at the center. In the case of Knight Shield blade, it stays tilted for a longer duration compared to Knight Lance because of its unstable design, and it will still have some wobble even after reaching the center. And Knight Lance will stabilize quicker in this case. Talking about the bits themselves, needle will stabilize even if you are launching with a greater tilt on the launcher, whereas the taller high needle may not do that after a point and may start kind of rolling on its side or slant edge as the weight of the blade is overhanging higher. So I wouldn't recommend going too steep with the angle of the tilt at the launch. Even Takara Tomy has mentioned this kind of a launch as a defensive tactic in one of their promo videos, but they were using a stamina type in that one. The idea here is that any attack from the opponent can be taken on the top portion of the blade to minimize the reaction from the impact. This does work to some extent in my experience, and in the case of Knight Shield, any contact made with the opponent while you are tilted or wobbling can also cause the opponent's weight to lose balance. This is very effective especially against stamina combos with ball bits, as they are not carrying much kinetic energy to send you flying compared to the attack types with their flat bits. It can work with Knight Lance as well, but a tilted Knight Lance blade may be slightly less effective with its counterattacks compared to a stable one. The risk with this launch is of course that you are exposing your ratchet on one side when you are tilted to the other. The blade will always be tilted towards the center of the stadium and the bay will be moving in circular patterns. So there will be moments in which the ratchet will be exposed to the line of attack of any extreme dashes exiting the extreme line at the top of the stadium. But in my experience, it does not end in a burst too often to the extent that I would consider not using this launch at all against attack types. If you get it right, it can defend well and get you a spin finish most of the day. I have tried tilting backward as well with both these bits, but they both end up stabilizing quickly when launched this way. So there is nothing too special about that kind of launch. Another technique that I have tried with both these is to launch flat and hard with a forward thrust on the launcher, kind of like a catapult shoot. This gives the bay some more movement than the normal flat launch. You can use it to get your bay to move around more, to try and avoid any incoming extreme dashes by not staying in the center or taking them at an angle to avoid an extreme finish. This is not guaranteed to succeed every time though, and the results may be quite unpredictable as it depends on the timing of the opponent's extreme dash as well. And even with such a launch, the mobility of the needle and high needle bits are so limited because of their lower area of contact with the stadium surface. But what about a ball bit on a stamina type? That one has more area of contact with the stadium. So can a stamina type make use of such a launch to move around and avoid taking hits in the center circle? We will take a look at that in the next video in this series that's dedicated to stamina type launch techniques. So hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for that one. If you found this video interesting by any chance, please leave a like and do comment down your opinions and any feedback in the comment section. Thank you for watching till the end. Until I see you all in the next one. Bye.